In the talks between Russia and America, which happened in Saudi Arabia, one area of agreement seems to be on the Black Sea deal. What is this deal, and why is Vladimir Putin so keen to revive this deal? The Black Sea Grain Initiative emerged as a crucial agreement amidst the chaos of war when it broke out in early 2022. It was brokered by the United Nations and by Turkey in July of 2022. This deal aimed to facilitate the safe export of Ukrainian agricultural products. After Russia's invasion in February of 2022, Ukraine's Black Sea ports were effectively blockaded by the Russian Navy, and that threatened global food security. The initiative was designed to allow Ukraine, one of the world's leading grain exporters, to resume maritime shipments from its key Black Sea ports. The ports include Odessa, Chornomorsk, and Yuzhny. The deal established safe passage for commercial vessels. It also included joint inspection teams that were stationed in Istanbul to monitor the cargo and to prevent any potential weapon smuggling. Additionally, a parallel memorandum between the United Nations and Russia promised to ease sanctions on Russian agricultural exports. This framework allowed Ukraine to export more than 30 million metric tons of grain within the first year of this deal. The deal also played a vital role in stabilizing global wheat prices, which had skyrocketed after the conflict. However, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Russia repeatedly threatened to withdraw from the agreement, citing unfulfilled demands for sanctions to be lifted on its fertilizer exports, as well as restrictions that Russian banks were facing. Despite several renewals, which happened on a two-monthly basis, Moscow ultimately exited from the deal in July of 2023, exactly a year later. Putin at that time had accused Western countries of not honoring their commitments. Ukraine's role in this deal is crucial for its survival. Ukraine relies heavily on agricultural exports for its economy. Before the war, over half of Ukraine's exports consisted of agricultural products, with a significant portion of it passing through the Black Sea. The resumption of these shipments is essential for Ukraine's war-torn economy. Further, Kiev also insists that any renewed agreement must not legitimize Russia's blockade. Since the breakdown of the original deal, Ukraine has sought alternative shipping routes with NATO-bordered Western Black Sea waters. Despite facing threats from Russian naval forces, Ukraine has managed to export more than 60 million tons of cargo through these alternative routes. However, Ukraine has demanded that it needs written security guarantees against fresh Russian attacks. President Vladimir Putin's renewed interest in reviving the Black Sea deal stems from several strategic calculations. First and foremost is his desire for sanctions relief. Moscow hopes to reconnect the state-owned Rossel-khoz-bank to the SWIFT banking system and also restore its ammonia exports through Ukrainian territory. Additionally, Russia is also wanting to establish its maritime control over the Black Sea. With Ukraine exploring alternative shipping routes through NATO waters, Moscow perceives this as a threat, something that could escalate tensions in the future. Moreover, reviving the deal also allows Russia to position itself as a responsible actor on the global stage. Amid criticism from developing countries in the global south regarding volatile food prices, returning to negotiations and helping revive this deal could give Moscow some diplomatic leverage.
We're in deep discussions with Russia and Ukraine, and I would say it's going well, but it's a situation we should have never had to even think about. Should have never happened.
The United States, under the Trump administration, has taken a direct role in trying to mediate discussions for a renewed Black Sea grain deal. Trump administration is advocating for a maritime ceasefire in the Black Sea that would protect commercial shipping interests. At the same time, it also wants to support efforts to revive the Black Sea grain deal. However, critics argue that this approach risks sidelining European allies and inadvertently legitimizes Russian aggression. Europe is still smarting from Trump's snub by not including them in the talks with either Ukraine or Russia. The previous agreement fell apart because of several structural flaws and acts of bad faith from both Russia and Ukraine. There were renewal cycles that happened on a 120-day period. It allowed Moscow to manipulate extensions for its own benefit while demanding unrelated concessions. Further, after withdrawing from the deal in July of 2023, Russia launched attacks on Odessa's grain terminals. It demonstrated a lack of commitment to any diplomatic resolution. The economic importance of the Black Sea cannot be overstated, both for Russia and for Ukraine. For Ukraine, before the war began, approximately 90% of its grain exports were shipped via Black Sea ports. Following Russia's blockade in 2023, around 40% of grain exports have continued through this corridor, while 60% have shifted to European rail and road routes. Agricultural exports were generating more than $20 billion annually for Ukraine before the invasion. For Russia, too, access to Black Sea trade routes is equally critical. About 30% of Russian grain exports and essential fertilizer shipments transit through this body of water. Maintaining dominance over these Black Sea routes reinforces Moscow's influence not just in Eastern Europe, but also throughout the Mediterranean. It's also a key entryway into the Middle East. In terms of shipping volumes, the Black Sea accounts for roughly 2.5% of all global maritime trade. That's a figure which is significantly lower than any of the other major shipping routes like the Malacca Straits or the Suez Canal. Since August 2023, after Russia pulled out of the deal, Ukraine managed to remove around 60 million tons of cargo through its corridors despite the ongoing threats from the Russian Navy. The Black Sea grain deal is a delicate balance between various geopolitical rivalries that are playing out amidst the Ukraine conflict. Reviving this deal could ease global food prices while also reducing naval tensions between Russia and Ukraine. However, there are still significant obstacles. Moscow insists on sanctions relief, and Kiev has very definitive security concerns. As both countries, aided by the Trump administration and the United States, navigate this, the Black Sea continues to serve as a critical choke point for Eurasian commerce and also potentially a flashpoint for a broader geopolitical conflict.